Here we go. All right. Good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday. We're a little earlier than 7 tonight. I'm Scott. This is Joe. We're talking nerdy. And look, we're going to jump right into it. We got some breaking news, which is why we're on a little bit earlier than our normal 7 o'clock start. We figured this was going to be something that we would break right into right away. So, look, let's just jump in both feet. Something that just came across Bleacher Report as Joe and I were warming up for the show. Stephanie McMahon has resigned her position from WWE. This takes it a step further from when she took the sabbatical 8 months ago and she was just taking a step back. She's completely out. She has turned control of the company over to Nick Khan and Paul Levesque, Triple H. In her statement, she references that the company's in a good place now that Vince McMahon has returned as executive chair of the board. And with Nick's leadership and Paul's as the chief content officer, I'm confident WWE is in the perfect place to continue. With WWE in such a position, I've decided to return to my leave and take it one step further with my official resignation. Wow.
Yeah, man. We had a whole evening full of wrestling, and we're still going to get to all that. But this here, I don't know what to think about this. I mean, as long as Triple H is not following suit with this, and it sounds like from what her statement said that she is confident that Nick Khan and Triple H, along with, unfortunately, Vince McMahon, can hold the ship. But I don't know, man. Is this a sign of things to come? Is she getting out while they're getting good? Is she doing this because of all the bad press from her dad coming back? Or does she just want to stay home with the kids and let Triple H take care of business? I don't know. I don't know what to think. This is I'm still trying to get it all sunk in my memory here, in my memory thought, my thoughts. I can't even I don't even know. It's kind of weird for me because she's not just stepping away for a little while like last time. She's actually gone.
Yeah.
I don't know. And now Shane and her are both gone. I don't know. Sounds like a lot of family problems. Maybe I don't know, but it's kind of shocking when you read that as we were talking earlier before the show. I don't know, man. It's kind of wait and see what happens. I'm just wondering what these other people who just signed back with them are thinking. Like, what the hell did I do now coming back to this shit show? But we'll see. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Look, I am stunned. I mean, look, I was the first person that was set on record that we were in a new era of WWE with Stephanie and Nick and Paul, Triple H involved. Literally, I am floored that this happened. Now, did I think that there was some possibility that once kind of things were leveled out, maybe after WrestleMania this year, would she kind of take a different role? Would, yeah, I kind of thought that that's where we would go. But I find the timing to be really curious, a week after Vince makes a power play to come back in as the executive director of the board. I find it curious that she resigns days after that happens.
Mm-hmm, exactly. I don't know.
I mean,
I really don't know what to say about this right now. It's I don't know. She's been like a fixture with that company for as long as I can remember.
She's been there since she graduated college, since she was 22.
And she's always hung around prior to that too. I mean, she knows the business, and I don't know. I don't know, man. We'll see. I guess it's totally over as CEO at that point.
Yeah, no, look, that makes Nick Khan CEO. It makes, Triple H essentially the number 2 most powerful person in the company.
Does it leave room for McMahon to come back, Vince McMahon to come back as co-CEO? I hope not.
Look, I'll be honest. Like, if you go back about a month ago, there've been a lot of interest, and this is a lot of what we were going to talk about in the beginning of the show, was Vince's return.
Yeah.
But if you go back about a month ago, when he started to send those overtures of, Vince wants to come back, he wants to be back involved in the show, the board kept saying no, 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 no. The only way Vince got back in is that, look, the long rumor, and we have talked about this, is that WWE was very quietly for sale.
Yeah.
They had been shopping it to like Comcast and Disney and Amazon and Universal. And there have been talks that they were down to 2 or 3 different companies. And Vince, as the major shareholder, went to the board and said, hey, if you guys don't let me back in, I'm going to block any sale, which he had the voting power to do, having more than 50% of the voting shares.
Right.
So what's interesting to me is that, okay, Vince shoehorns, they allow Vince to come back in as a part of the board. He can't have any involvement on the creative side of the business. That was part of the deal of letting him back in. But what also is curious is that, immediately 3 members of the board resign, which then Vince, as the executive director of the board, now brings his people back in. So I don't see it happening because of the amount of advertising and corporate sponsorship involved. Because look, we all know that the dollar talks and Vince is tainted right now. But I have to wonder, what is all this going to mean? I mean, like you said, WWE has done a great job bringing wrestlers back. I mean, they just signed Chelsea Green. It was announced, over the weekend that she's been under contract for about a month. William Regal just restarted with the company. What are these folks sitting at home thinking, going, Jesus, what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And we were also going to talk about Jay White possibly signing and maybe being a surprise at the Royal Rumble and sticking around. What is he thinking? If that rumor's true, what is Bray Wyatt with his storyline, the way it's going? He's probably thinking, shit, I'm going to lose my job again.
Well,
and I hope not. I don't think so, but
no.
I mean, I think they've went through so much trouble to bring these guys back and make them feel comfortable that I would hope that they would not do that again. I just don't. I really hope Vince McMahon stays out of the creative of this and lets Paul Levesque do it and let Nick Khan take care of what he was originally brought there for, and that was to help sell the company and get his big bonus of, I think it was $45 million that he was promised for helping do that, because he's an agent. He's not a wrestling guy. He's an agent. He's a
Hollywood guy. Yeah, he's a money man.
Yeah, he's the money guy. So I don't know. If they can leave Triple H alone, let him do what he needs to do, they have potential. But
well, look, if they're going to maximize
thinking right now, even after their 2:30 meeting the other day,
well, look,
now you got to have another meeting because of this shit here. So yeah, it's scary.
I just find the timing very, very odd at 6:30 on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems very curious.
What happened?
What conversations are being had in Titan Tower that we're not aware of? So, and look, before we get any further, welcome to the show for those of you watching. For anybody that is watching on YouTube, thank you. Please make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you to everyone who's commenting, EC and T3. Welcome, my friends.
What's up,
we got a lot to talk about tonight, brother. So hit that chat box. Let's talk about what's on your mind, what you guys are thinking. This is really just a big day in wrestling. Been a big week. I just really am floored at what is going on. I mean, the Vince thing was big enough. I mean, you and I didn't really talk a lot about it because, we wanted to do kind of an unfiltered back and forth where it was not something that we had talked about ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
But then to have this bomb drop on us as we're just setting up audio before the show begins, holy crap!
Yeah.
I
don't get speechless much, but as you see, I am. I don't know. I have to like just keep an eye on this. I think we'll monitor this through the show and see if anything else develops. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that like you said, on a Tuesday night, a random 6:45 in the evening, we get this news, and
it's
crazy.
It just doesn't have the warm fuzzy of, all is right in WWE land.
Yeah.
I mean, look, here's the one thing I will say is that I don't think Vince is going to come in and put his hands all over everything, because that's going to hurt any potential sale. They don't want to take any steps backward. They don't want to make any drastic changes, because anyone that's going to come in and buy wants stability.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that Vince touches right now is going to have a lot of issue. And a lot, so I think that's the one thing we do have going for us.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the things that they talked about was that he was going to be this guy facilitating the sales. And look, I believe they've already pulled in JP Morgan to facilitate a sale.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So, and look, you've already got 4 or 5 players that have been identified as potential sale partners, from Disney to Amazon to Comcast to Universal to a Saudi group. And then the same Anthem, the same group that bought the UFC, is also somebody that's in the running. And I think any of those folks are going to want Vince's hands completely off the product.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I look at any of these folks, it scares the hell out of me of anybody buying the WWE that isn't that's a corporation and not a wrestling, someone that understands the business.
Yeah.
Are
they going to keep everybody in place that's part of creative and whatnot if they do buy out? I don't know. The only ones that I can see really doing it is maybe Comcast. I'm really hoping Amazon doesn't do it. I don't even want to pay for Thursday Night Football. I don't think we should go down that route. I know it's probably all going to be down that route eventually, but Comcast Xfinity already owns Peacock, and NBC is kind of mixed in with that, I suppose. So that one makes a little sense. But would they, at that point, you have the conglomerate take over and keep everybody in place as far as CEOs, which now you really don't have one. And I don't think Nick Khan's going to stick around once it's sold. That's what he's here for.
Mm-hmm.
Who takes over as CEO at that point?
Well, you don't have a CEO at that point. You have a content officer. That's where you legitimately have Triple H as the overseer. I mean, look, because Comcast, Xfinity, and all those companies have CEOs. They then don't have a CEO of every brand. They have a president, which would essentially be the content officer. So I think there's a lot of things that are up in the air. Right. Well, he's dead, so good luck with that.
Get someone like that if you can't.
You're gonna need a Ouija board and and a teleprompter for that.
We can get a
that's a whole different show, brother.
Yeah, I like that shit too.
So, I didn't intend the show to be so wrestling heavy today, but there's just been so much going on. And T3, I absolutely agree. I think Comcast is the number one option because of the business relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they see so much value in the content and the weekly content and the contracts they already have that they're not going to mess with it. The one place, there's a couple places I don't want them to go. I do not want Disney to buy it, and I don't want the Saudi group to buy it.
No.
That would destroy the product.
Yes,
However, it would make Ronda Rousey a Disney princess.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Tip your waitress.
We already have the Queen, Charlotte.
Yes, we do, and we have to cover that too. So
we can transition into, that's a good transition point, as you know, to move in, and we keep an eye on this Stephanie McMahon thing. You never know what else might break in the meantime within the next hour, but maybe let that transition into what we were going to talk about, and then keep an eye on this at the same time, because I really don't know what to say about this. I have to get more information before we can really talk about all this. But yeah, I'm with EC. I definitely don't want Disney. I definitely don't think Amazon would be good. The only logical one for me would be Comcast, like I said, because they already have the relationship. So with that being said, we originally were going to start talking about, I guess we're going to go back to the Friday before last when Charlotte made her return, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me start by saying, like, I follow 2 podcast content creators for wrestling very closely, and I like these guys. And I'm not going to bring any names into this because that's not what I'm here to do. But when I hear some hypocrisy, I got to call it out, and I don't want to call them out because I still listen to these guys, and I still want to listen to these guys. But you got Charlotte Flair that comes back the Friday before last, and these guys, both of them on their separate podcast, were talking about how can you be gone 7 months and then come back and challenge Ronda Rousey, not to a match at the Royal Rumble, not to a match at WrestleMania, but to a match the same night, and then win the belt, right? And then they go on, the same 2 podcasters, and say that the Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné debut in Japan.
Don't get me started.
Wrong. First I'm going to say, she walked out of WWE twice. I don't think you walk out of your company, period. I think if you set a standard of doing that and getting away with it, it's a really bad way. It's another bad rabbit hole to go down in this country. The shit's already happening like that, and once one person does it, it can go on and on and on. But they walked out. She walked out twice. Then I think she was also gone 7 months. She was gone around approximately the same time Charlotte Flair was. And
right.
He comes back to New Japan, with a new name, a new outfit, all the new hair, all the new everything. Walks into the ring, botches a move that was supposed to be, I think, a DDT.
It was not. It was supposed to be something else, and she is just a botch machine.
Yeah. So
don't get me started.
Yeah, no, you can. This whole thing, this whole show is one gigantic loose cannon. it just exploded. So I mean, and I told you earlier in the week, we're both going to do this loose cannon shit tonight because she comes back, she botches that DDT-like maneuver that Kairi Sane had to find some way to somehow bang my head on the mat just to make it look a little bit good, and then lay there for 20 minutes while Sasha walks around with probably the worst promo that I've ever seen in professional wrestling. It was I don't even use the word cringe much, but that shit was so cringeworthy. I couldn't even look. I had to watch it 10 times in order to this is terrible. I can't watch this.
So here's what I'm going to chime in with. Let's start from let's go for the whole thing, right? Let's first talk about the entrance music. All right. The whole video, this literally sounded this sounded like if the WWE fixed New Jack's ECW music, for one, on the network when they have those. Two, the fact that she had Terrence and Phillips sounding, Monet in the middle. And anybody who does not get that reference, go look up Terrence and Phillip when they talk about money. That's how they say it. Money.
Money in the middle.
Yeah. So there's that. Then she gets in the ring. Literally, it looks like, a 2-year-old who ate Play-Doh threw up in her hair. And then this whole thing with blowing the move and then standing up. And by the way, no pop. Nobody in Japan knows who the fuck she is because Japan doesn't get WWE television. They blew this entire reveal. They should have done it in LA. It would have made way more sense to do it on that show than at Wrestle Kingdom because they sat on their hands. Mm-hmm. They had no clue. Hey, you're not my you're not my guy, buddy. So I'm commenting in here. So there's a lot of Terrence and Phillip references going on. Okay. So, the sheer fact, I do not begrudge her going out to get the biggest dollar. That's all any of us want to do in this world. But the fact that she picked Japan, where no one knows who she is, and then she's had 8 months to build this whole thing up, and that's what she delivered. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why she was not seen as a long-term solution in the WWE. She will never be Charlotte. She will never be Becky. Hell, she won't even ever be Bayley. She is the 4th best person in a 4-person group.
I agree. But I do like Sasha. I think that she was really good in WWE. I think she's one of those people that absolutely needs a script, as you saw.
Mm-hmm.
I think when most of these content creators say that she was the common denominator in a lot of women's wrestling matches, like in Hell's in the Cell, with Charlotte and Becky and all those matches. Yeah, but you have to have a supporting cast in that match. So they give her so much credit for being the common denominator, like the person that made the match, but it takes 2 to tango, man. I mean, and now you go over, she better deliver one hell of a match in LA. I tell you that. It better be one hell of a botch-free match, or she may not be doing what she's doing for long. And if she shows up for AEW, like people are saying, if she does, because she's no longer on the external roster for WWE, she was dropped off of that, I believe, on
the day before Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, whatever day it was. But if she goes to AEW, she's going to be like the whole host of others. She's going to show
they're all good
with a big
mid-card,
beautiful debut. And then she'll be on Rampage, and she'll be on Dark, and she'll be on Elevation, and she'll be once in a blue moon on Dynamite in a backstage segment. Just everything rushed like normal. And she's never going to be what she is or was in WWE.
Could she possibly leave the outfit that she got from the set sale of Big Trouble in Little China at Home this time? That headpiece looked like she was Kim Cattrall.
Well, that was
movie
supposed to be like the Statue of Liberty type head. I don't know what that was, but
no. And T3, you are absolutely right. Tony Khan has no clue how to book. 100%.
No. And these other guys, they kiss her ass like she's the best thing since sliced bread. It's like I just don't see it. I really don't. I think Charlotte Flair is probably the best all-around wrestler. And yeah, they've been spoon-feeding her. They give her everything she wants. She does.
Well, look at her last name.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the name alone, they've earned a lot of this. I mean,
mm-hmm.
She's a big draw. I think she's a way better heel than a baby face, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know why people hate on her so much. She delivers hell of a match. If they put her in the right feud now, I just think it would be. I think she can go places still. I don't think because she's 14-time champion that she's coming to the end. I think she
No.
They could do something with her still. Sasha, I don't know. I guess they didn't see anything in her. They didn't trust her enough to do anything with her. And I mean, for Christ's sakes, you're a tag team champion and you walk out. I mean, I know you weren't getting booked the best, but I mean, you were a champion and you were on TV every single week.
On multiple shows.
On multiple
shows. Yes. They were showing up 2-3 times a week on TV. So, I get it. This is your brand. This is your livelihood. You want to have control of your brand, but this is getting out of control. This, I haven't agreed since, Sasha and Naomi walked out, and I know Naomi's coming back. And I hope they put her with the bloodline, because that'll be great.
Yeah. But hopefully she learns from what she did. And this is something that you cannot do, is just walk out. And I don't know if it was Sasha's idea to take her with her, or she got manipulated into doing it, was on her own. Whatever the case is, no matter how pissed off you get, you just can't walk out on your employer like that. And I don't know. And that's a live TV show. When you had something going on that night on the TV show that you missed, and they had to then scramble to try to figure a way to cover it up without making a big deal out of it that night. So for me, Sasha, I hope she does good. I hope the best for her, but I'm not going to miss her in WWE like a lot of people are. I'm not sweating it one bit.
No,
not at all.
She doesn't move the needle for me. I mean, there's just nothing about her character that I ever liked, even when she was in NXT. She delivered a handful of really good matches, but she needed a dance partner that could bring out things in her. I mean, because if you think about the best parts of some of her matches, go look at the one night stand she did with Bayley in New Jersey. Bayley is the one that pulled a lot of the big spots out that match, right? Look at let's go back to WrestleMania with her and Bianca. The whole thing was 2 African-American women headlining WrestleMania. Nothing about that match was spectacular. I mean, it was a draw. It was a unique draw. It was a special moment. The rest of the match was just flat. I didn't, and I can't tell you another Sasha match that moves the needle for me. Not one. But that's
think, like maybe the Hell in the Cell. Was it Hell in the Cell with her and Charlotte? That was really good. I forget. Did they have a Hell in the Cell together, or was it Becky? I forget. I think it was right before the pandemic.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a Hell in the Cell.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, it's forgettable. I mean, I'm not remembering. So it couldn't have been a standout thing to me. But at the time, I know she had a Hell in a Cell. It was the first time they did a woman's Hell in a Cell. She was in the first ever women's Royal Rumble. There's a lot of firsts that Sasha did do. I did like her character at first, and then it just got dry. The whole, with the rings on and coming out, and it just over time it didn't stick.
It got stale.
Yeah.
She never freshened the character, and even now she is a dollar store version of Sasha Banks.
Yeah, because if you go like you said earlier, like Japanese audiences are a lot more tame than when you go to a show in Philly, say, because that's what we know. Philly's a wild place for anything, and we've been to all kinds of games together, things together, shows together, and wrestling together. And you know as well as I do, if it's hard to go from WWE, where you're this big, gigantic superstar, and then you go, like, for instance, you go to AEW, and all of a sudden, instead of, for example, Daniel Bryan, you're now Bryan Danielson. That's a little bit of it. It drops off a little bit because you're huge, and he might be a bad example. There's other ones that are way better that I can't think of right now. But like Ember Moon, say Ember Moon for instance. I like Ember Moon. I thought she was really good in NXT. She's a decent star in WWE. Then she goes over there and they change, she obviously can't use the same name. And it's just not as, it's just a little lackluster compared
You
to
did not say Ember Moon.
I'm just using anybody I can, but even Aleister Black.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Aleister Black was, and then he goes over as Malachi, and it's a cool name still, but he's known real big as Aleister Black. And now he goes over there, he's Malachi Black. And same thing with Rusev, and now he's Miro, and he's disappeared. And a lot of these guys have done the same thing, and I think Sasha will too, wherever she goes, because I just don't think they'll stick with it long enough.
The novelty.
Tony Khan's new toy comes along, if he gets her, he'll get a new toy after, and then put that toy away. That's Correct. What he's been doing. That's what he's been doing religiously over the 3 years that he has, been in business.
All right. So T3, by the way, money on the comments tonight, brother.
Yeah, so that brings me back to the old Philly sports channels and shit like that. I love that.
So hey guys, long-time listener, first-time caller. Want to know your thoughts on the Bloodline era possibly ending?
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to the show. Thanks for listening. Look, Bloodline, I'll be honest, we're probably another month away from that implosion. They're setting Sammy up nicely, though.
Yeah. Too bad
Friday night
for the world title. Too bad. I know he's not going to ever get that, but if they do it right, he could be a tag team champion. But now, since what happened last night with Priest and Baylor, I don't know what's going to happen with that either. Are they splitting those titles up? That's another dilemma now.
They're not going to put the belt. They're not going to put the belts on them.
I have heard that they are thinking about this. That match is for the Raw tag team titles.
Really?
Yes.
Now I missed that. Now, to be fair, I also fell asleep before the end, so I caught up on Twitter this morning with the replay. So, look, I don't think the Bloodline is going to end completely. I don't. I think that it's going to evolve, and I think Sammy will be out. There's a rumor that WWE wants Tama Tonga from New Japan. So let's say they pull that off. Obviously, you're going to put him in the Bloodline with the rest of his family. It's just the natural order. So I think it's going to evolve. I don't think it's ever going to be as hot as it is right now, because I think once you kick Sammy out, the dew's off the lily at that point. Also, I am one of the few people that do not think that The Rock is going to challenge Roman at WrestleMania. I don't think it's going to happen.
Let me ask you this. I would much rather, and I'm going to ask you, I'm going to tell you what I think, and then I'm going to ask you, I want to ask you first. Who would you like to see from the family? Like, if instead of The Rock, wouldn't you like to see another family member, another Samoan, and one of those guys come challenge him? A younger one?
I'll be honest, who I would love to see, Jacob Fatu.
The Samoan werewolf. That's who I was thinking. And
Jacob Fatu.
We think too much alike, I think.
We spend a little too much time together. Yeah, look, Jacob Fatu to me would be perfect.
Yeah.
He's got that character down.
Yeah.
And they might, and look, to T3's point, they could make the Bloodline the new NWO, but only do it with family members.
Yeah, please.
Because that family is deep.
Don't have a new member every 20 minutes. I mean, and then have like the red and black bloodline, and then the blue and green bloodline, and Jesus Christ, we don't need that again. But exactly who I was thinking was a Samoan werewolf coming in saying, I'm the young lion, the young werewolf, whatever. I'm the new one in the family. I'm the chosen one from the elders. And then the elders show up with him.
Well, and look, and then he runs through Solo.
Well, I was actually going to say, when he comes out with the elders, Solo turns to them and says, the elders sent me too, and boom, sickle.
I don't. Oh, Joseph.
Mm-hmm. I'm writing my own shit here, man. It'd be awesome. It's got to be AEW at least. I mean, come on.
Look, and I think that's part of the long-term storytelling. But I mean, look, a lot of things have to fall into place. I mean, I know Fatu's contract is almost up with MLW. He's going to be a free agent. He hasn't re-signed. I don't see him going to AEW. Well, look, I mean, Tony throws enough money at you, but look, there's not enough TV time for all these people.
Yeah, you got 2 hours of actual show, and the other crap that they put on and call it a show, and it's not a show. It's just, it's just he needs to, if anywhere, re-sign with MLW where you're shining, or go to WWE. There's no other alternative. I think he'd be lost in the shuffle in AEW.
Well, look, I'll be honest. I could not think of a better spot for him to show up than at a WrestleMania. And maybe even do something to cost Roman the belt, to keep Roman strong, but then to play that long-term story of, the family brought me in to right a wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, that, to me, that would be a great story. I would watch that.
Yeah, like you're the self-appointed head of the table. I've been appointed as head of the table by the elders. I'm the new generation, that would be pretty cool to see, I think.
Yeah. Look, I think there's a lot of possibilities. There's just so much uncertainty. I mean, what's really going to be very telling is what plays out at the Rumble. What do we see at the Rumble? Who shows up at the Rumble? Do we get a Jay White? Do we get, the Forbidden Door opening and we get a Tama Tonga? What do we get?
Pretty cool to see.
It would be really awesome to see. Do we throw the ultimate curveball and get do we get an Okada? I'll be honest though, a WWE audience wouldn't know what to do with Okada.
A WWE audience barely would know what to do with a Jay White and a Tommy Tonga, because most of us don't watch New Japan a whole lot, to be honest. I wish I could more. I have, but I'm not vested in it to watch it religiously like I am WWE. I just don't.
But here's the thing: enough people know who the Bullet Club is.
Yeah, I know who these guys are. Enough people know, and then see, WWE has so many members of the Bullet Club thrown everywhere that, like, how would they settle that out? Like, who would Jay White go after?
Look, maybe. Look, if AJ's injury ends up being a little longer, maybe he's the guy that comes in to lead the club against Judgment Day. I mean, look, I like the Judgment Day angle with the Bloodline because it freshens it up. It's not, the Judgment Day going after Rey Mysterio again or Edge again. But this is something new.
But they are keeping that Mysterio thing in the background, with the arrests. And now, and actually last night, a lot of people were talking shit on Dominic coming out with like a Walmart Conan. But I think that I enjoyed that. I thought that was something good that he could do to get him over the hump of just being the kid, I think that might do him some good if he sticks with that little gimmick with the bandana. I think it could go someplace. I really do.
It could. I mean, again, you're talking about a dollar store Conan right there, but there's definitely possibilities. I mean, look, there's definitely.
He's good. I don't know. I think he needed something to bring him over the top of just being Rey Mysterio's son. And as you see, week by week, you're starting to see him be his own guy now, and that's a good thing. So let's think about this for a minute. I mean, look, we've thrown a lot of names out there of some guys that are interested in the WWE, some things they could do with the Forbidden Door. I mean, who's your surprise? I mean, T3 is all about Matt Cardona right now being the guy that shows up. I tend to agree. Now that Chelsea is there, I think Matt makes a ton of sense. But, I'm also on the Jay White train. I think I threw this name at you the other night as far as the women's Royal Rumble match. And this is a person that I think is one of the best wrestlers, men or women, around. And I think she just took a path that led her astray for a while. But Tessa Blanchard could be in there as a surprise, and I would love to see her versus Charlotte Flair eventually. I really like her. I like what she does. I know she's had a little trouble the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Staying on the path and all that, but
well, look, I think her husband also.
Well, they're getting divorced too. They're getting divorced, I read. Yeah. But I would love to see her on the women's side as a surprise, and then we have already talked about Jay White. Jay White would be my guy on the men's side. But I still think number 1 and number 2 in the Royal Rumble, pending the injury to Seth Rollins, which it looks like he's okay.
He's fine. It's a work.
I think Cody and him should be number 1 and 2 and fight it to the end, and Cody wins. Cody's my guy, man. And I
know, but I don't think they're going to blow that. I don't think they're going to blow it with number 1 or number 2. I would be stunned. And look, for those of you that don't know, Joe and I are going to do a watch along for the Royal Rumble in a couple of weeks. I'm going to go over to Joe's house and we're going to watch the Rumble, and we're going to comment, and we're going to predict. We're going to do a prediction segment. We're going to talk about anybody that watched our Survivor Series watch along that we did a few weeks ago with Dre. We're going to do it again. And I'm looking forward to it. I hope everybody can join us. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, I love the Rumble.
Yeah, the Rumble is one of my favorite events of the year. So I'm super excited to see what they're going to do. One of the other things that we hadn't talked about was the whole thing with Mandy Rose. So today, I don't know if you saw this, but today she goes on the Tamron Hall show. And Tamron Hall, by the way, was somebody that worked for Dateline and did a lot of true crime stuff and was a hard-nosed reporter. She's got her own daytime talk show now. Seems like everybody does.
Yeah, I did hear that.
But she was on Tamron Hall today talking about her release and the circumstances and how she was blindsided. And, look, I for one, and look, for those of you that don't know, by trade, I am an HR director. I'm an HR executive. So I spend all day long dealing with employment contracts and union environments and policy procedures. This is what I do for a living. Listening to this, I got a chance to catch a little bit of it today, right? This is complete and total bullshit, what she's saying. She was blindsided. She had no idea what she was doing was wrong, that she took pictures down. This, by the way, to me, this is all bullshit.
There's steps you have to take to do this.
Look,
you just can't blindside somebody with this. They gave her multiple chances. They gave her multiple chances, Mandy. You cannot put that kind of content out. You are a WWE employee. And she continued to do it, in my opinion. Continued to do it. Probably gave like 2-3 chances, and then that was it. They were like, you know what? It's not worth it. You're out.
Well, for me, look, I've read the timeline, and there are some things as an HR person that you look for in a situation like this. And as a matter of fact, one of the HR forums that I belong to on LinkedIn, we were talking about this at length because also they were kind of nerdy and talked about wrestling. But at the same time, we were talking about, is this wrongful termination? Is this breach of contract? Look, at the end of the day, they are a kids marketed business, right? So let's say the same reason that they used to say for years that they weren't going to let China in the Hall of Fame, because if you Googled China, you'd get the porn. You Google Mandy Rose, what's the first thing at the top of the list now? The fan site. So when they did have the conversation with her, from my understanding and a little bit of back, some information that I have from a reliable source, they talked to her about this in October. way back in October when it was brought to their attention. Someone in the office knew this was happening. They talked to her in October. There was a real lull in the amount of information that was put out. The pictures got way more timid, but she never took anything down. They did not take any action until the topless pool photos started, the topless pool video, which if you haven't seen it, it's out there. It's her essentially no top below. Yeah. It's below it. She's below the water, but you can fully see her boobs. I mean, they are full out there. You can see the nips below the water. I don't care who you are. And she posted this a week before she was terminated. How dumb do you have to be? You know, you have a content clause. They fired Thea Trinidad for having,
TikTok,
a Discord site.
Yeah.
For playing video games online and monetizing it. Do you think they're going to be okay with this? When they signed Chelsea Green, they made her take her OnlyFans down.
Exactly. And that was a dead giveaway on that she resigned too.
Yeah, by the way. Yeah, we all knew it. So for me, the fact that she says she's blindsided and that she's hurt and all that, it's bullshit. Mm-hmm. She made a conscious choice to go out there. And you know what? God bless her. She made $1 million since this all became public. This whole firing was the best thing that could have happened for her brand. She says it's all about empowering and taking her image back and all that. No, it's about the $1 million she made in a month. And and no one would have bought this if she was not a WWE superstar. She needed the machine and she needed the action to draw the traffic.
Yeah. And without them, she would just be another naked woman on the internet, to be honest.
And throw a rock on Twitter or if you go on OnlyFans, you'll find whatever you need.
I mean, you can go on Instagram right now and see damn near all that. I mean,
well, we're not talking about all the people you follow.
Oh well, I don't do that. I can't do that. I'm not here for that. I'm here for my toys and my wrestling. That's it. I could care. I don't even care about Mandy Rose like that. I mean, I really don't.
No.
I mean, another, whatever, man. Everybody uses that to make money these days, and then, it's a shame. Like somebody like you, Scott, can't go on there and make $1 million by taking off your shirt. You see what I mean? We can't do that. Guys can't do that.
Well, no, they would pay me $1 million to put my shirt back on.
Yeah, so maybe we should go on there with no shirt on, and then they'll pay us to put them back on as quickly as we humanly can. And the faster we do it, the more we get paid. That could be our new side thing. So,
one of those things where you just stare at the camera uncomfortably and like rub your nipples. You're like,
whatever floats your boat. But we'd make a lot of money by putting them on as fast as humanly possible.
Exactly. Pay me X amount, I'll put it back on.
We could even go one step further and just don ourselves the chipping whales.
The chipping whales.
Yeah.
You're such a dick. That's so good.
Bigger stripping. Come on, that's killer. Nobody steal my idea either.
Trademarked.
All three of you don't steal my idea.
So T3 has a point here that I want to kind of go back to. About he doesn't think the WWE should have a say in what they do outside the business. Here's the thing. And here's the difference between being a contractor versus being an employee. And I don't want to get into the minutia of HR law and all that, or employment law. But they have a control over the image because it's an entertainment license. So essentially, they can have a say if it affects their brand. Like, let's say you go out and you're on a video game site and you're killing kids and you're talking a ton of shit. One of those kids goes out and kills himself. What is the first thing they're going to say? WWE superstar drives kid to suicide. Mm-hmm. In every story you have seen about Mandy Rose, the first thing that says WWE superstar naked photos. Mm-hmm. That's not the brand that the WWE is marketing. They're considered contractor, but it's in their contract of what they're agreeing to.
But it's also like, so I'm using Zelina Vega for example. her name is Thea Trinidad, right? Her real name.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody knows her as Zelina Vega. She is Zelina Vega. Then she goes on these other sites to make money, but she is Zelina Vega. She's licensed as Zelina Vega. And that's another part where it becomes hairy is like they'll say WWE superstar Zelina Vega. They won't say Thea Trinidad.
Because nobody knows who Thea is.
That name. Exactly. So that's another part of it, which kind of intertwines with what you were saying. But
well, let's think about this.
Even that video game thing, because everybody knew her as Zelina Vega.
Well, let's think about this for a minute. Let's not look at WWE for a minute. Let's look at Major League Baseball, right? In every contract that is written, there is a personal conduct clause of anything that affects the game, the brand, or the team. You can be held accountable. Trevor Bauer, for example, pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, was embroiled in a huge scandal a couple of years ago, right? And then it turns out that he's suspended for over a year, was just released because it was a huge sexual scandal, right? Same thing is a violation of the personal conduct clause. Now, here's what I don't agree with, T3. And I'm loving this debate, by the way. It isn't different if someone has their iPhones hacked and leaked private photos, right? Because the people that had their phones hacked didn't choose to post those photos. To me, it's about intent. If somebody came in to me and said, someone stole my phone, somebody posted these photos, I was hacked, it was a major news story, that's easy to prove. Mandy Rose was warned. She said, look, you cannot do this. It's a violation of your employment contract. Mm-hmm. It is a violation of our brand. It's a violation of we're a PG show.
Mm-hmm.
All these things.
Clarissa Thompson had the same thing happen. Her phone pictures got leaked by her ex-boyfriend or what have you. She didn't choose to put them out there, but they're all over the internet now.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a tough time keeping her job at Fox because of that, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because you do have, let's face it, people have things that they want to be kept private,
mm-hmm.
like as you should be able to. And then when somebody gets pissed off at you or finds your phone and does something like that, that's a hell of a lot different than being told to stop something by your employer, but you continually do it just to be mm-hmm. stubborn and abrasive. It's a big difference there. So I got to agree with you, Scott, on that one. T3, that's big time different right there. You can't. Your private phone is your private phone. If it leaks, it's just what it is. It leaks. It goes out there without you wanting it to go out there. She wanted this shit to go out there. She knew
she's charging for it.
She was using the WWE with her name to make money because nobody would know who Mandy, whatever her real name is, Mandy Sachs, they don't know who that is.
And by the way, on the account, I read a story. It said Mandy Rose. Didn't say Mandy Sakamoto.
Yeah.
Mandy Rose.
Yeah, and
so
and to EC's point, they're not profiting off it. If my phone leaks and you get a picture and I get paid to put my clothes back on, I'm not getting, at that point I'm getting paid. But if your phone gets stolen and it leaks or whatever like that, then it's different because you're not getting paid for that. But Mandy was getting paid because she was putting it out there. So
but I think the point that he's making is that WWE isn't making any money off of these outside ventures. And by the way, I think that is why they made them stop the Discord stuff and monetizing those channels, because they didn't profit and they were there. The WWE, for better or worse, while they're under contract, they own their likeness.
Mm-hmm.
But that's part of what you sign away when you sign a WWE deal is you're going to be paid for your likeness rights,
mm-hmm.
and they're going to have a say in how you present yourself.
Yeah.
By the way,
an employer, they tell you do not go on social media and badmouth your own company. Don't do this. Try to compose yourself.
Every company.
Way, yes.
Every company has a social media policy. Every company. It's because in this day and age, everybody's opinion on what everybody, and look, this goes for us too, as two idiots on the internet that are talking about it. We think our opinion matters.
Yeah.
So we're here to share it, and we take full advantage.
So some people might say, well, how come the New Day is able to have up, up, down, down? If I'm not mistaken, WWE profits off of that. They're part of that. That's part of
their
part of it. Umbrella. So in that,
it's on their YouTube channel.
Yeah. Now, if Matt Cardona went to WWE, he'd probably have to give up his major pod because unless they make a deal where they can profit off of that. Do you think, or did he have that while he was in WWE? I forget. I think he had to stop that while he was in there.
He had the YouTube channel. I don't think that there's anything against him having the pod, depending on the content. Like he still had the toy shows when he was in WWE.
Yeah, because I didn't follow him when he left. Then he got more. To me, he got bigger when he left. Like, really good for himself. And I'd hate to see him go back as much as I'd like for him to go back as Matt Cardona. I don't want him to go back as Zack Ryder at all because I don't think that fits him anymore.
No, I agree with you. I mean, look, it's a divisive topic, and that was kind of part of the reason why I wanted to bring it up. It's in the news. It happened, after our last show. Which, by the way, if you hadn't had a chance to go back and take a look at the last show we did with our special guest, do that. It was a great conversation right up until my power went out with about 10 minutes to go in the show. But it was a great conversation. We had some really, really some good convo and a good connection, and I'm hoping that we'll get a chance to chat with him again.
Oh yeah, we will. We've talked again already since, and we definitely have a lot more to talk about with him. Flynn Hendricks was his name, in case you missed it.
Yep. Yeah. Flynn was awesome, and it was the last episode right before this one. And by the way, T3, I think with any contract, anything nowadays is negotiable. So I think if Matt wants to work that out with them, I think that you can make those things negotiable during a contract negotiation. Because I mean, look, there are plenty of WWE superstars that have their own podcast. The New Day comes to mind. They have theirs. I know Thea Trinidad has one. I'll come back to her. She's very social. Bailey has one now. And by the way, none of these are monetized by the WWE. This is, self-promoted. Now they use their WWE name, so I'm sure that something had to be negotiated to make that work. But I think in this day and age, especially with the way now they have content attorneys, that this is all they do. They literally piece through the minutia of the Wild West that is the internet and say, here's the loophole in your contract of how we can exploit it, or here's how the WWE can use a loophole in your contract to exploit it. To spend all this time. And I think wrestlers now are becoming way more contract savvy to their own likeness and having a little more control over the character outside TV. But WWE,
Cody Rhodes is a prime example. He came back with his own music. He's his own gimmick, his same name, same look, same outfits. He still has the Nightmare family. He still owns that wrestling school. He negotiated all that into his contract with Vince McMahon at the time, believe it or not. He was running the show then, and McMahon even approved all that. So that's saying something, actually. That may be a little glimpse of hope that we have, is that if he could do it, maybe somebody like a Kenny Omega, if he ever comes, could do that, or the Bucks or somebody like that could come if they choose to hire them and let them keep the same persona, same music, same look, things of that nature. So there is a little glimmer of hope there, just in case McMahon does take over full reins again. But
he's going to give us a ton of material for this pod. So I think the times they are changing, and look, it's kind of nice to blend a little bit of my other nerdiness, that's the HR side of my life, into this part. So this was actually a topic that I knew a lot about that we could talk about, employment law and contract law. So this was doubly fun. So I'm glad I could bore you all with that as we move forward. So we got about 10 minutes to go. So I don't think they. And T3, I think you're right. The WWE is $1 billion business. They don't need to profit off of a Cody Rhodes. And I think that Cody Rhodes has become really savvy enough to owning his own name and proving he could do it without the WWE, where I think it gave him a little more leverage. And I think Matt Cardona is going to be in a very similar position, not exactly the same position, because he wasn't, as high profile, but he's definitely elevated himself to a point to have a lot more say in his next contract. And I do think
sometimes it takes to go and do things on your own, and then they see how valuable you are. And if things are working the way you're doing them, like Cody, like Matt, like Daniel Bryan, when he'll eventually come back, I believe. Even Kenny Omega, he didn't leave WWE to go, but he has made a name for himself. And he, I think he would be his own. He would be one of the ones who would be able to keep all his own persona and everything, because he's done so well with that. There are a few that could do that. You got to pull it off the right way. I mean, you just can't walk in off the street and say, I want this, and that. You got to sometimes pay your dues and know
your value and how you leverage it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And T3, I would love to swap war stories about HR law in Cali. I have a couple of sites in California, and I'm on the record with a lot of my staff that work for me to say, if you can do HR in California, you can do HR anywhere. So, yeah, I'm sure there are some more stories we could share. So coming up over the next couple of weeks, we got some busy things going on, buddy. We got some busy stuff going on. As I mentioned, we got the Royal Rumble watch along in a couple of weeks, and we have one more show in between now and then. Joe and I'll promote that. It'll be on a different channel, so we'll get that information up, and maybe have a guest the show before, so we can kind of hype it a bit. We got some conventions coming up in March. Monster Mania in New Jersey has started to talk a lot about some guests. This whole week they are announcing some guests for the show, and Joe and I will be talking a little bit about that. I want to talk a little bit, in the next show about some of the upcoming shows I really would love for us to hit. Steel City Con being one of them in Pittsburgh.
I thought about that one too. That's a good one.
They announced some really cool names at the end of March. People like Kelsey Grammer and who, look, if anybody watched Cheers or Frasier, Dr. Frasier Crane, man, guy's a legend. Do not die on me. That will not be good for ratings.
Hey, Kelsey Grammer got me all choked up.
Yeah, apparently you're a bigger Cheers fan than I was aware of.
Oh, I love Cheers. I didn't watch Frasier much, but I did love Cheers.
Oh, dude, the amount of stuff and that comes from Cheers is amazing. So, and I'm just looking up, Steel City Con, which is, look, March 31st to April 2nd in Pittsburgh. Scott Ian from Anthrax. Anybody that's a music nerd like I am, that dude's a legend.
Yeah.
He played in Megadeth. He played in Pantera at one point. One of the greatest thrash bands of all time, Anthrax. George Wendt, who was also in Cheers. He played Norm. The cast of some of the cast of Dexter, Michael Hall, who was Dexter, Julie Benz, who played his wife, and then Jennifer Carpenter, who played his sister. MJF will be attending Steel City Con.
Now he's one star that I do like. I think
he's the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one.
2024, he's coming. Don't worry. We should definitely look into Steel City, though. I like to go there. We could make that like a little weekend getaway or whatever, and check that out.
Are you trying to whisk me away for the weekend, Joseph?
You gotta do what you gotta do. $20 is $20, man. Also, like for me, like April's gonna be a little busy. There's a couple things going on, and then Memorial Day weekend, ICCC. I can't wait. We got our vacations approved at our jobs. Me and my wife. Her friend's going to keep her occupied while I go hang out with my boys. T3, EC, and whoever else wants to hang out. That's going to be a blast. I can't wait for that. But yeah, there's a lot of good shit happening, man. It's starting with the Royal Rumble and a lot of good movies coming out. Want to see Megan.
Yes. That looks so good.
Yeah, I know T3 saw it yesterday. He said 8.5 out of 10.
Ooh.
I'm not sure how much of a horror guy he is, but I'm going to take his word for it because I love horror and you love horror, and I definitely want to see Megan.
Look, you got Ant-Man and the Wasp in a couple of weeks. The new trailer.
Out, new shows too, like You's coming back out eventually here soon.
Couple weeks.
Yeah. It should be end of January, early February finally, but
Yeah. Oh, and T3 Monsterpalooza is on my wish list someday. That is a great show in LA. I follow it on. I follow it on Facebook. It's a show that I absolutely want to get to at some point. Another one I want to hit is Days of the Dead, which I've done in Atlanta a few times. They've now expanded out to Vegas and Indianapolis and Chicago. I want to get to the Vegas show one of these years and hit that. Okay, so Megan is more of a thriller, not horror, which is interesting because they're kind of marketing it a bit as a horror movie. Interesting. By the way, just a real quick movie recommendation before we wrap up here in a few minutes. If you have not seen The Menu yet on HBO Max, it was a movie with Ralph Fiennes, came out a couple months ago. Watched it the other night. Great movie. It's a thriller. Got a little bit of a horror edge to it, about a guy who has this exclusive restaurant on a deserted island. Guy turns out to be a psychopath. It is amazing. Great acting, great cast, good story, very clever ending. So if anybody's got anything going on this weekend, I could not recommend The Menu highly enough. Loved it. Going to watch it again this weekend. And T3, you've seen it. Excellent. It's another amazing recommendation there. So definitely add that to your watch list if you haven't. It's on HBO Max.
One more show before we wrap up that I really want to go to eventually, maybe this year. I don't even know exactly when it is. I forget. I think it's late summer, early fall, but Toylanta would be another one that I would love to go to. And that's on my list for sure. That seems like a really fun show to go to. So.
Yeah, and I'm super excited for the con season to get rolling. I got some money to burn. And we'll have some things to talk about. I start my new job a week from Monday, so we'll have some fun things to talk about. I'm sure. I'm going back into the entertainment industry, doing HR in the entertainment industry again, so it'll be kind of cool. So with that, we're going to wrap it up for the evening. Thank you to everyone who joined us tonight.
Thank you.
Look, we had a lot of cool stuff to talk about tonight, and you guys that followed along with us. And if you're watching afterwards, look, I'm going to say it again. Hit the like button, subscribe, let Joe and I know how we're doing, what you want to talk about in upcoming episodes. We'd love to interact. Like I've always said, this show is about what you guys want to talk about, so we keep everybody interested. But thank you all again for joining us, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tonight with another episode of Talking Nerdy. Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Thanks, guys.